There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. Hi, it's Melanie Bolton, and I'm here on behalf of West Coast Beauty for Flow Haircare. And today I'm here with my wonderful model, our house model, Mercedes. This is our Flow Haircare house model. And I'm really excited to talk about what we're going to be doing today because this is the second part of our Infinite Blow Style series. And we're talking about texture. Now, if you guys have been looking at the trends this season, it is all about texture. Natural texture, trying to enhance the texture that you currently have. No matter what curl pattern or what natural texture your hair is about enhancing it. And we're seeing like all these fabulous shag haircuts that are just giving me life. And really to have it finished in a way that is really kind of like reminiscent of the 70s and a little bit of the early 80s, which makes me feel super happy. But I wanted to showcase this particularly because I've had a lot of questions about how to diffuse correctly, how to enhance texture, and how to create it. And did you know that there is an incorrect way to use your diffuser? And also, I wanted to talk a little bit about today about how important this is as our tool. So this is our tool that does a lot of things. And we're going to talk about what a diffuser actually does, why we're choosing to use this tool versus using something like to direct for other things for round brushing, okay? So I'm gonna show you little tricks that I hope will change your life when it comes to creating texture. And also too, I just wanna share with you today any comments that you get a chance to make. If you do feel like you'd like to comment, we love to buy our friendship at West Coast Beauty. And what you'll do is you'll have the opportunity to win $250 worth of product if you make a comment here today. So any questions or any comments, please feel free to do it. On the other end of our phone is our vice president and, you know, fearless leader, Miss Rosalind McVean. So she will be, say hi, Roz.
Hi, everybody.
So she will be answering some questions for you guys. So without further ado, let's get her gorgeous, okay? So the very first thing we want to do is analyze the curl pattern and take a look how her hair is, right? So a lot of times I find when people get into diffusing, like it's like they've seen it before, they get in there and it's just like, ring, ring, and the hair is already really wet and we're not really sure what we're doing or why, right? So I want to share with you, this should be really called blow styling, not blow drying, because we're going to be styling the hair really before we actually hit it with some heat, okay? So we're going to talk about prep. So some of the things, you mind holding that for me, dear? Some of the tools that we're going to need to create this, okay? So we're going to need a Deadman brush, all right? This is the best thing in the world. I mean, everyone needs that in a kit. I love me a big detangler, whatever one is your favorite, okay? I just like the bright green because it was pretty. And then I like a pick as well so that we can focus on the root. And then maybe a nice comb to make sure that all of the product is getting put into the hair properly, okay? Those are all the things we're going to need. What we're going to be using today is our Zero Friction, our Radiant Armor, our All Day Tame, and our Touchable Texture, as well as a little bit of Root Reboot. And these are all the products we're going to be using to prep this, okay? And what's kind of neat is that all these products can be found in our gift bag that will be given to us from West Coast Beauty Inc. Because West Coast Beauty Inc., what a cool company. So West Coast Beauty, guys, just so before I get started here, the share is our exclusive distributorship in America. We are the first of its kind, being the only professional online professional boutique of its kind, which means that you can actually retail and have access to all of our products that we carry, and also all of our education and all of our beauty stuff that we carry. So we'll talk about it a little bit. If you take a look at West Coast Beauty Inc., you can join in as an affiliate stylist. But as we keep talking about this, I want to analyze her curl pattern. So if you take a look, I call this really a 2B curl pattern. I always say 2B or not 2B. Which one is it going to be, right? So this kind of lives kind of between a wave, right? So I want to try to take a look at where it's at. And the best way to kind of find out how your curl pattern is literally just let gravity do its thing. And you'll see how it wants to fall in that kind of S pattern. It's got a really strong S pattern. That's a nice 2B wave, okay? And then we can see in here, she has a little bit more 2C curls, right? A little bit tighter, a little bit curlier. So we're going to analyze that. And knowing that she has 2B and 2C, we also know that it has a tendency to be a little bit thirsty, right? So we have to make sure that we're providing enough product from roots to ends, okay? So we're going to start with anything, just like anything else. We're going to start prepping our blow style ahead of time, okay? Any questions so far, guys? Is everything good?
All good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we're going to start and isolate this up out of the way. It's going to get her beautiful hair out of the way. This is a beautiful texture.
So are you doing typical sectioning?
So I'm doing sectioning. I like to section like I'm building a house. Like from the foundation up, right? So I like to start underneath because a lot of the reason we want to start underneath too is you'll determine, like you'll see her curl pattern is really usually different throughout her head. So sometimes it's a little tighter underneath and a little tighter around the hairline. So I like to start in those areas because I can see where the trouble areas are, and the trouble areas are always underneath. Do you know what I mean? If you have curly hair. So the first thing we want to do is really make sure that it's hydrated. And I want to share with you guys with curly hair and with this texture look, whatever moisture you're removing from the blow style, you want to replace it with product. So with this, we want to make sure with super curly hair, and wavy hair, it is always thirsty. There's never a time it's not, okay? So we always want to make sure that it's equally proportioned all the way through.
So question is, did you already apply product?
No product has been applied yet. Just got her hair wet so that we can determine and take a look at the curl pattern. Thank you for asking that, okay? So what I've done is gone ahead and applied her zero friction all the way through, and I'm going to share with you. When we're dealing with curly hair and we're applying product, you have to see how the curl pattern wants to go. Now, if I can give you any advice, allow the hair to do what it wants to do naturally. And you're seeing how it wants to move out this way. If you are brushing your product down, you see what happens to the curl pattern immediately. And look how it wants to go. It's moving in a movement versus down. And if we do this, what happens is the curls all get caught upon each other and we no longer have a curl pattern. Do you see what that did to it? Like that, right? So what we're going to do now is apply a little All Day Tame in my hand.
And what's All Day Tame? All
Day Tame is a smoothing balm, which I actually can use also to blow dry hair smooth, but I use it as my curl cream, especially for 2B and 2C type curls, because it just like controls the frizz. It's an anti-humectant, which is spectacular, and it smells like a dream. So when I'm placing this in, I'm going to take my Denman brush, and with our Denman brush, we're going to go away from the root. Yeah, so we're going to pull away from the root and then twist and allow the curl to fall into a coil, yeah? And then move on to the next step. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're isolating this out, I like to just go, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have a ton of time to do blowouts, right? So we want to do like a little bit larger sections, but not so big that we're not going to see the curl pattern, right? So here we can really take a look where the curl pattern is and see how thirsty she is down here. Like she needs to get a nice drink. I'm just going to hold this up. Okay, so this is where we're going to make sure we add our leave-in conditioner or zero friction. Now I want to share with you from experience, a leave-in treatment is so much better to use than water, just water alone, because it really protects the hair and it also really hydrates it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead again, place this into the hair, and we're going to use my Denman brush and go away from the root. Yeah.
And so you're just twisting with your fingers.
We're really just allowing, if you see, we're letting gravity do its job and allowing the curl pattern to be determined, yeah? Same here.
How do you determine how big of a section to use?
You know, for me, like, I generally like to go about like 3 fingers in distance, right? I don't want them to be so small because, you know, her hair is a 2B and 2C pattern, so it's got like a bigger pattern to it. If her hair is really tightly curly, though, I might take a slightly smaller section. So to your point, you want to match the curl pattern with your section. If the curl pattern is really tight, we're going to take a tight section. If the curl pattern is nice and big, we'll take a bigger section. Does that make sense?
Yep. Does it make a lot of difference if you apply the product all over the hair once?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to say something to my hairdressers in the room who are watching, who I love, by the way. We are some of the coolest people on planet Earth. Have you met the public? They are not like us. But darlings, I want to say to you guys, application is 90% of what we do. 90%. Now, if you mix the most beautiful hair color in the world, let's say like mine, and you applied it on Mercedes pants, would it work? Of course not, darling. So we really have to make sure that we're applying it. And if we take a look at her curl pattern, you can see that if we applied it all the way through from top to ends, it is not going to be equally saturated and it's not going to be equally produced. Now, this is why I wanted to do this class. Thank you so much for bringing this up, because I was cringing watching some of the finishing techniques of super curly hair because it's not really addressed. And I'm finding that the renaissance of what's happening with our culture again, with our styling culture, is finishing has become really important again. So this is a fundamental to remind you, okay? Something that you practice. Okay, so again, allowing gravity to do its job. The majority of our work when we're getting started is getting the hair prepped to make sure it's in a curl that makes me happy, right? Now, as I get this whole thing that's here, we always want to practice safe hairdressing and use protection, okay? So whenever we have heat that's styling there, we're going to make sure all that is applied. People always ask, do you use a lot of this? I'm like, yes. Yes, I do.
And what is that specifically?
This is our Radiant Armor Thermal Protector. And what I use this for is actually as a bit of a styling and setting lotion as well as my regular heat protection. But I must say it is one of the finest products I've used in my career. And of course, the only place that we can order it is from West Coast Beauty. West Coast Beauty Inc. being our exclusive distributorship from America, where we were the first of its kind to develop something called an online presence in order to demand what was happening with hairstylists in the industry. We wanted to be able to reach them when they needed it, when we needed it, and also to provide the best products and the best sources of education that we can. Okay. Denman brush.
Why the Denman brush?
Now, thank you for bringing this. The reason I like the Denman brush is just it really allows hair to fall in its natural fall. You can see it's like got a nice wide bit to it. Like when it's too wide, if it's like too much like this, it really almost separates it too much. So what I love about this is it just seems to really go in the natural curl pattern beautifully. And it's my favorite tool. I mean, I just love it. If you don't have a Denman brush in your kit, please tell me what you're doing because I want to know. Okay, so we're making sure that all of this is prep. So as you can tell, guys, the majority of this is prep. Okay, so we want to really make sure that the curl pattern is beautiful because when we take a look and see, we are literally going to be setting the hair the same way that we have styled it. So we've actually styling it now and setting it how we want it to be. You see, this is my little trick that I love. I just kind of let it fall like a ribbon and squish. I think you have to make that sound too, like
The squish.
Yeah, I think that's what really makes it fall. And we're going to move up this way. And Mercedes, when we first started working together, she used to always style her hair straight all the time, and it made me a little kooky for Cocoa Puffs. So I started sharing with her ways that she could wear her natural texture. And now she's the opposite. Now she always has her natural texture, right?
Yeah.
So we can see here like how a little bit thirsty that is here. So we want to make sure we've got like a nice bit of product down there.
How dry should the hair be when starting this process?
Thank you so much for bringing this up. And I am going to talk about this once we start blow drying the hair or blow styling the hair. But the hair should be 80 to 90% dry. Now, my loves, you can do this soaking wet, but you will be blow drying hair for 6 hours. Full disclosure, nobody has time for that. And likewise, too, I really think it's important for us to share with clients how to achieve this look. They're the ones who are bringing these pictures into us. And so if we're finishing the way we've always finished, if we're finishing the hair the same way she's always had it, right? So see again, away from the root and then allowing that to fall.
Do you change the direction of the twists?
No, thank you for bringing that up because it's always, you see, I'm going with her natural fall. So we're coming, this way, okay? Because if I went this way, her hair doesn't curl that way, right? So we always want to go with the natural movement of her hair. Okay, so her hair should be 90% dry. And actually, her hair was really, really wet before we started this, but because we're inside and we were chatting, it got a little bit drier. So we're going to just go ahead and share that. So as I'm going through, I'm pulling this and isolating out. So as you can see, her curl pattern is starting to be already nicely detailed. Well, this to me is the money spot. I just like to form it how I like it. Okay. So now I think I'm going to blow a few people's minds now. Are you ready? How many in the room, and I'm not going to judge you because I love you. How many in the room flip her over and start going like that? Imagine if you tilt over one. That look familiar? Does it? Be honest with ourselves. Because when I see what's happening in the street out there, I'm like, oh, girl, that's an interesting diffuse, okay? To remind you that this diffuses heat. So this makes the heat go from, the airflow go from small to large. And the reason we want to do that is because the hair is already technically styled. We love her curl pattern. We want to enhance it. We don't want to blow it apart, right? So this literally stops the air from going really hard and directed, and it opens it into a wider space, okay? So we're going to use the gravity as her tool. We're going to have her tilt right over. Can you see that okay, Ross?
Yep.
And we're going to put this on medium to low heat. Now you can go cool heat, but let's be real, you're going to be blow drying for another 4 hours, okay? So I like to have medium heat, and we'll start on low because I'll be talking. I don't want to burn this thing. And on low power, okay? Just to show you the difference, okay? And what we're literally going to do is just take the blow dryer, take the diffuser, and focus on the root. Now notice, my love, that my hands are not in it, and that I am not scrunching the end. The reason is, if we're reminded as hairstylists that heat will set hair for us, yeah? So if we want my hair, if you take a look at her, you want to sit up for me, darling. We created a middle part specifically because the middle part is the thing. I mean, everybody's doing the middle part now. But also, too, we don't want crazy height up here for that look. It's more like that, you know, soft, beachy mermaid. So we're going to go with this, and we're going to literally dry her and set her to where I want it, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get her out like this and allow this. Now, if we think about it, and is the volume still okay, guys, with the blow dryer? Okay, so if we think about it, we're looking at this and we're literally setting it in place that we want it to be. Now, to show you the difference, if the diffuser is not on, you see what it does to the heat and what it does to the air, okay? So I want to explain that to you guys so it makes sense on why we've chosen this tool. Okay, so again, I'm just going around and literally setting it into spots, focusing on the root first. So this is where my pick comes in, okay? Because guys, can you see okay there, Ross? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Because guys, like when you have your fingers in it, like your oil starts to manipulate with your product and it really destroys it, okay? So what I do is just lift up at that. So she's got a little bit more lift at the root and focus on that root to dry it. Is that heat okay, baby girl? And even too, like I'm always like kind of, you know, making sure she's not frizzy at the top. So I'm sure this looks very different from what we've seen in the hair salon. Like a lot of time we see in the hair salon and it's literally all getting picked up and all taken in at once. And if you've ever tried to diffuse, a lot of times folks like stop because it's not the way they expect it to look. And the reason is because we're starting with drying the ends.
So there's a question. What about putting under the hood dryer?
Oh, thank you for that. I love whoever asked that question. Yes, in particular for my super curly clients. So for my like kinky curly, for my like, I'd say C curls, like really tight, you know what I mean? For those girls, I like to put her under the hood dryer for the first little bit to focus on that. And then I finish her at the ends with that. And if she's got a great curl pattern, I mean, like the hood dryer is a great way to get started with it. But we also have to know the type of hair that we have, right? Like with her hair type, because it's a 2B, I mean, we wouldn't get the same fluff, if that makes sense. Because with the natural big, like C curl pattern, I mean, that advances, like it grows on its own. So getting it under hood dryer is a great way to start. So thank you for ever brought that up. But in particular for super curly, that's what I like to do.
Yeah. So would you finish the hood dry for any pattern with a diffuser?
You know, it really depends on the client, if I'm being really honest. It really depends on her client and it depends on her curl pattern. Like if she has super curly hair and it's really healthy and absolutely natural, I can feel really confident about her going under the natural dryer and that's just enough. But with this, I'm literally directing the air specifically. So it's still like a directional blow styling where like under the hood dryer is kind of like a convection oven. You know what I mean? Like everything's in there getting hot and sometimes that can go really fluffy for other people. Does that make sense? Because it's still a tool, right, guys? So it doesn't work for everybody. It's kind of like, you know, like foil highlights working for absolutely everything. You know what I mean? You know, of course it can't, right? So, you know, we want to make sure of that. So as you can see, I'm again, and when I'm doing this, I'm just going to go ahead and get Miss Picky. That's her name is Miss Picky, if you're wondering.
So we have a post-styling question, which is how do you handle the frizz and the flyaways after the diffusing?
Yeah, this is what we're going to handle. As you can see already, if you're looking, you just pop your head up. You can see already we're not creating any frizz. Okay, we're not creating anything that's like big or whatever. And the reason is because we're allowing the hair to go in its natural fall. And when we're finished, we're going to detail it with a texture cream to make sure that we don't have any frizzy. Sound good?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so you want to touch over for me, darling. Excellent. And we want to make sure. So I like to still directionally blow dry. So I'm just going to see how I just lift this up and it gives that little bend at that root. It just gives it a little sweet, like, I'm a cool girl wave, like around the front of my face. Right, and you see, just by doing that, just, push it, yeah? So you can see, you can't really do that with a hood dryer, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I love my hood dryer. Like, I can't live without it, but it's the right time for the right place, right? Can you hold that for me, dear? So now that we've got the root all dry, so that's all ready to go. Now we can start detailing these beautiful curls underneath. And same thing, we want to start with section by section. Okay, so we're going to isolate underneath. Now, the thing is with our fingies, guys, like, please don't celebrate your work and pet every section. So I always say this with love. Hairdressers love to celebrate their work. We're so excited when we do something great. We're like, oh, section, right? But if you think about it, when it cools is when it sets. Okay, so you can celebrate in your head, like, yay, and then when we detail, we can touch it. Okay, so when we're isolating this underneath, you'll notice I'm just isolating. I'm not, running my fingers through it and making it super messy. Okay, I'm just isolating it and getting it out of the way. Yeah, and we're still going to go ahead and let her gravity do her thing. So now we can start letting this diffuser do its thing. Okay, so you can hold that for me, dear. So what I like to do is let it fall into place. Show you a little tricksy before we turn this on. And if you see what I'm doing here, I'm literally defining the curl in my hand. So we want to do the exact same thing in the diffuser, is allow it to fall in its curl pattern. And because I don't want to have fuzzy ends or fuzzy roots, we're going to slightly tilt it up. Now, if you can come on the inside here, Roz, and see when I tilt it up, see what it does, that little wave there? It's like, hey, hey. And that's going to set into a wave. Okay, so what if you are new at this, baby hairdressers, please don't feel pressure that the blow dryer's got to be on the whole time. Get good at it first, okay? So if you want to start, you can get your curl pattern how you like it. You're like, hey, hey girl, I love you, hey, 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 and then turn your blow dryer on, right? So cool. And then we're going to go ahead and just tilt it up towards the ear. Now you see, my hand's just on top to make sure it's not flying away. But we're keeping our sweet little phalanges out. Okay, so I always joke and say, phalanges out. Don't
You mean fingers.
Your fingers, yeah.
Yeah.
Phalange is the technical actual term. Your fingers, please don't touch it with your fingers. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and notice that I'm drying it 1002, 1003, and then I release it. Hairdressers, please don't touch that. Now our very first thing's like, oh, I love it, I'm going to touch it. It's still hot, okay? So we got to let that set. So we're going to set it and forget it. We're going to move on to the next section, okay? You want to take that from me, baby? I'm just having Mercedes do some audience participation because she's used to it at this point. So again, we're putting this into the curl pattern.
Do you find that Dyson takes out the frizz more than a normal hairdryer?
I do. And the reason why is it's because it's an ionized blow dryer, right? So to each their own. I mean, I'm really big on hairdressers using the tools that they love. I have like 4 blow dryers, like because I'm a blow styling nut. So it depends totally on what your look is. But to be honest, and I see how I release it. Please don't touch that. And we're going to go to the next one. Okay. So the reason why I like an ionized or deionized, ever so slightly, deionized blow dryer. I'm just going to add some more moisture here, guys, because I was talking a lot and she got dry. Okay, so an ionized or deionized blow dryer, what that does is it diffuses the water molecules. So what that means is it makes the water molecules inside her hair, it shrinks them down like teeny tiny little water molecules, and it keeps some of the moisture in the hair. So for curly hair, wavy hair, diffusing hair, all that stuff, it's just great for that because it's, I'm just gonna do this right. Because it just, it really controls the frizz, right? Now, for me personally, I like a big old school blow dryer for a big fancy blow dryer, but that's just me. You know what I mean? That's me as an artist, and I've been doing hair for 30 years, so I'm stuck with what I like, right? To be honest with you, they do behave differently. So It totally depends on what type of hair you're working with and what's the look you're looking for.
Is it okay to use a plastic pick or a metal pick? Like, what? Tell us about the pick that's best to use for this look.
For me, I prefer metal. Full disclosure is because I really don't like to purchase a lot of plastic if I don't have to, right? The other reason is because plastic sometimes it doesn't have a longevity to it, doesn't last a long time. And sometimes like your product can stick to it. Where I notice with metal, it doesn't. Now, there's other things like bone, the ones that are made with bone and ones that are made with wood, which are excellent for that as well. So really what I suggest to artists is that find the tool that works for your hands because each tool is different. Yeah. So I like to have some distance in my pick too. Do you know what I'm saying? So that I can use it like fingers and really get some distance with it. I hope that answered your question.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. So while we're doing this and we're isolating and getting this thing ready, I want to take a little opportunity to talk about West Coast Beauty while I can. So West Coast Beauty is our exclusive distributor, and we want to really go out of our way to thank Behind the Chair for having us. It's such an honor. But West Coast Beauty was developed. Sorry, you got to turn them on for them to work. Was developed because of what was happening with the industry. I mean, we kind of looked around, and after the pandemic happened, we wanted to be able to provide some of the best boutique products that we could find, professional only, provide some actually amazing education, obviously, like things with Behind the Chair and that stuff. But also, too, we wanted to be able to create a different shopping experience for hairstylists and for clients. So what it means for our West Coast Beauty clients, you see I'm squishing her up in her little curl, putting her in her house. You see where her house is? See how chill I am about it, too? And just so you know, it takes a quarter of the time versus, doing it incorrectly, right? If you try to rush it, it actually always takes longer, right? So anyway, when we're talking with West Coast Beauty, what it allows is clients to have something called a stylist affiliate link, which means they have access to all of the products that we carry. It means they don't need to carry inventory, but they can still retail all of our products. And it means they can share a link with all of their clients so that they can retail from them at any time. And we will pay those stylists commission and ship directly to their clients. So we really want to be the first of its kind. Slow Haircare is extremely innovative. That was one of the things I was so proud of being a part of it. And so to have a partner that thinks of hairstylists with innovation ahead of time is such a wonderful thing. So we're very proud of that. And it's pretty cool. Are you enjoying yourself so far, darlings, out there? We'll get some love. I'm throwing things on the ground over here.
So will this style be completely dry afterwards?
Yes, 100% dry. And you can see on her end, she is dry. Okay, we've dried her ends. It's that we're just not touching them yet. And the reason we're not touching them yet is because they're not cool yet. So just like anything, if it's still hot to the touch, it's not set. Okay. Same with the roller set. Same when we were in school. Do you remember old school days when you were in hair school and you're like, do not touch that roller set because it's still not cool yet. So if it's not cool to the touch, it is not ready to be finished. Make sense, my friends? That's some really good advice I'm giving you there is that if it's still cool to the touch or it's still hot to the touch, it's not ready.
So how do you keep the baby hairs under control?
So our baby hairs, when we come, we're gonna finish in detail with our texture cream. Our touchable texture cream is one of my favorite things to finish baby hairs with. But if you saw at the beginning of the seminar, we talked about moving here and not lifting up in the root. So if you get up in here, if you start doing this with the blow dryer on, and we just talked about this, what does this do with the heat? It expands it, right? So what's that going to do to the baby hairs? Expand them or make them smaller?
Expand them.
Right. We don't want expansion. We want them smaller. Okay. So that's why. All right. We're going to start making sure that we get rid of the baby hair frizzy first. Yeah. And even if you have this here, if it's like that, you can go ahead and smooth some of those baby hairs. Yeah. Okay. Remember, this is your tool and you direct the hair how you want it. Does that answer your question, my love?
Mm-hmm.
So I get all excited and I turn the blow dryer on before I do my thing. I'm like, what am I doing?
While sectioning the hair, don't you feel like it separates the curl pattern?
See, to your point, it's like you have to respect the curl pattern, right? Now, thank you for bringing it up because if she's really curly, like we talked about earlier, okay, so we talked about earlier, if she's got a tight curl pattern, I'm going to go with a smaller section. Okay, so we go section by section with a tighter curl pattern. But because she's like, 2B, 2C, I like to take a larger section. And to your point, we're not raking it through. Okay, so it's really just isolated. And the other thing, to your point, is we already detangled and we already pre-sectioned everything out. So it's not going to turn and get stuck in the weeds. If that makes sense. Okay. Now this guy, I like to do a little trick. It's just like ironing clothes. Okay. I literally like place it where I like it and heat it up.
So
bringing the babies down.
How long will this take in real life? It seems like this takes a long time.
Well, because we're obviously breaking it down for education, right? We're speaking in between, to your point, in between. But actually, this takes me from beginning to end the same as any other blow style, anywhere from 20 minutes to 25 minutes, depending on how much hair she has. Now, of course, if she's got a big boatload of hair, it might take about half an hour. But my blow styles are the exact same timing, whether it's blow styling it smooth, whether it's blow styling it round brush, or if we're doing diffuse, okay? Now, if we start this wet, if this is soaking wet, you're going to be diffusing till next year. It'll be 2022 and you'll still be like trying to get your hair dry, okay? So to your point, the reason why it seems like it's taking a while is because I'm breaking it down piece by piece for education to make sure it makes sense. Yeah? Hopefully that answered for you, dear. How's our timing going, darling?
We have about 6 minutes.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm just about to finish. Oh. Okay, and so what I did is I got the other side done, just so you know, ahead of time, because I'm small like that. And I can show you how we like to detail, okay? So again, and see how I tilt the diffuser in? Okay, so that way we're making sure that we're not creating any more frizz. See what happens when you go up? First this side, yeah? So did they get anything if they sign up today? 10% off, correct? Yeah, so if you get a chance to become an affiliate stylist, and again, there's no obligation to become an affiliate stylist, but if you sign up today with West Coast Beauty, you get 10% off your first purchase. Yes! And I strongly suggest you get yourself some Flow hair care because it is some of the best stuff in the world. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish this up. And you see, like, when we're talking about that curl pattern now, like, once we start getting to the top, it's really starting to, do its own thing, which I love. And see, like, literally just let gravity do the work for you. So when I'm like training babies, my little baby stylist, I'm like, you're so uptight, relax. Remember, you amputate hair every day. You cut it off. That's intense.
So do you squeeze the moisture out of the hair at the beginning to prep?
Thank you for bringing that up. Now, so if we're starting with her super soaking wet, like right out of the basin, yes. So what I actually do is something called bumping, right? Where I like place everything into a cotton t-shirt or into my microfiber towel. And I let that sit for about, 15 minutes sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Depending on the client, depending on the hair. And then I go through and prep afterwards. And then what I'll actually do is usually wrap it back up in that, microfiber again. But the thing I want to share with you, to everyone who's listening, is not every texture behaves the same. So I'd be really failing you to say that this is what you do every time you diffuse, because when it comes with curly hair, it's about a balance of moisture, right? If we can find the right balance of moisture, the right balance of product, and the right balance of movement, yeah? Okay, because for example, I have some clients who are super curly, but they need way more product than this, right? And a lot more product, a lot more application. So this is about, like I said, 2B, 2C curl enhancing what we have. Okay, so tilt. I'm just making sure all of those babies are down. And you'll see how lovely her root looks, right, guys? Like there's no yuckiness. And now I'm just going to go ahead and get ready to detail.
When the curls had dried and you were just about to diffuse them, what product did you use to refresh it?
Oh, thank you. Can you hold that for me, sweetie? So this is what I love to use is my thermal protection, my radiant armor. I'm really big on this product. As you can see, I use a lot of it. And the reason why you can use a lot of it is because it just is never sticky. It never makes your hair feel weighed down. And in fact, all of Flow Hair Care's products are like that. They're all moisture bombs for hair. So I'm a big believer in water-based products for curly hair. Okay, so I really think they're great because if it's too oily, it just ends up being a problem for different hair types. So I love because it's water-based, and I love that it's never greasy, never heavy, but it's got the moisture that you're looking for. The other thing too we want to get into now, of course, is we're going to get into a texture cream now. So once we're starting to finish, now we want to detail, okay? Do you liking how she's looking, guys? The nice little texture. Looking pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. Not bad for my first time. Right, kids? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is my texture cream. And the texture cream is really going to finish that balance of moisture on her ends, right? So we can see we've gone ahead and done her other side, and we will see when she's totally dry and ready to go. We want to have that nice moisture on her ends to make sure that it's just juicy and delicious, right? So I put about a pea size on my hand, emulsify all the way through, and we're just going to detail those babies. Like just, you know, really just get a little twist on the little loves, right? And detail there. Okay, so you can see, and see how that texture cream is just getting rid of any little frizzy or any, you know, weirdness, right? Like it really does just have this beautiful control. And one of the things I love about touchable texture is it's like a pliable hold. So what means is that I can continue to touch the hair and continue to move it through the day and it never gets frizzy. Okay, and I'm just gonna finish her again. One more little blast. And what I like to do is just finish it all up, make sure everything's dry. And see what I'm doing is I'm literally pushing. If you see here, I'm pushing into that wave, yeah? So it's literally like we're creating a beautiful set. What do you think, guys? Does it look nice? Mm-hmm. So again, with this root, we always want to make sure we're focusing. Very nice. So now, last thing to finish. Sincerely hope you enjoyed some techniques today. I hope that I enlightened you on some ideas on how to finish texture. And I really hope if you've taken one or two tips from this back into your space, it's great. Remember, if you're not finishing the way they're asking, like if they're bringing in pictures and we're finishing the same way, we're not relevant. And it's so important for us to make sure we're staying on point, right? So I'm here to share with you, texture is a thing. Now to finish up, because we always like it to be a little bit bigger, I was going to finish up with some root reboot, which I finish all my blow dries with, just so you know. I like to shake, and I just love a little dry texture all the time at the root because I just think it gives it that really cool, like, non-hairdresser thing, you know what I mean, where it just looks really beachy. Now for my trick that I like to do with dry texture is I just let it cook for like 20 seconds. Like I just let it kind of, so I find if you rub it in right away, it doesn't build on its resins. Do you know what I mean? So I just let it cook for a couple seconds, like a roux. Okay. What do you think, kids? Does she look pretty gorgeous or what?
I'm locked in the Midwest. Where can I get flow?
So, oh, you're locked in the Midwest. Bless you. I thought I was cold in Toronto, but you are cold, okay? You can get flow at westcoastbeautyinc.com. It's our exclusive American distributor. And today, if you take the opportunity to become an affiliate stylist, you get 10% off your first purchase. And also, too, because you commented on it, you get a chance to win all this gorgeous flow here from West Coast Beauty. Okay, so I'm just going to finish a little detail on the very top with my texture cream, just to make sure she's all smooth and lovely. What do you think, guys? Does she look good? Yeah? Can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay.
Oh, looks great.
So I just want to, what I do is just kind of isolate. And then the last very thing I love to do with Picky, that's her name, by the way, in case you're wondering. It's Picky, is it just kind of fluff. It's a little fluff. Right? I don't like to fluff with my hands because it'll make it all weird. Well, Miss Farrah Fawcett. It's going to be very 70s realness, right, kids? Okay, I am going to leave this space so she can do her fabulous reveal. Thank you so much for taking the time and watching. Thank you, Behind the Chair, for doing what you do for hairdressers, inspiring them and keeping them on point and keeping them, just with some of the best education in the world. So do check out West Coast Beauty Inc. And of course, Flow Haircare. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you soon. Sending lots of love.